Hello everybody, welcome to my talk. My name is Pavel Barák, I'm a chairman of Czech Game Developers Association, and today I will be talking about Czech games industry. I will be showing you some numbers, some data and graphs about Czech games market. We will also look at some trailers from Czech games. We will talk about Czech companies developing games there. And after the talk, you should have overall picture how the market looks like. So let's get into it. We start with the overall size of the market. So in Czech Republic, there is 110 studios. Czech Republic is a small country. We got only like 10 million people living here. So for that size country, 110 is pretty significant and we are quite happy about it. But the more important thing is that the industry is constantly growing. Last year there was 11 new companies established. The year before it was 12. So roughly around 10% every year we see the increase of the companies. The 110 studios, that includes big studios, private limited companies, stock companies, as well as many small indies. We have quite a lot of indies, we will get into that. But sometimes it's just a one-man studio. The numbers actually are from the beginning of this year, like February is the time when we were gathering all these data. We try to include into 110 studios that their primary focus is game development. That's their main business. So even if it is just one-man studio and that person already got a game on Steam and it's making a living for game development, it's included in that. So that's the size of the studio in terms of number of companies. But if you look at the turnover or like revenues of the games would be slightly higher. The turnover is just a gross income of the companies or money that they turn over during the year. So you can see already on the graph that there is also steady growth. The growth is even higher. In last 5 years, the Czech games market in terms of the game development companies and their turnover, it grew on average like 25% per year. You can see that in 2017 the overall turnover was 44.4 million euros. More importantly, if you look closely at the numbers, you see that in 2019 the number actually doubled. So the games industry in terms of like economic growth actually doubled in size. This is really awesome and we are super happy about it. You can see that between 2017 and 2018 there was a huge spike jump, 68% increase. That was because of several reasons. First of all, in 2018 quite a few worldwide successful games were released. Specifically it was Kingdom Come Deliverance. That's a Czech game. Also Beat Saber, the worldwide hit for virtual reality, was released in 2018 and they were doing great in the sales numbers and therefore the market really jumped in the numbers, the Czech games market. But that's not the only reason. The other reason was that established studios, the big studios like SCS Software and Bohemia Interactive, I will talk about them later, they also were seeing like increase, like slow and steady increase. And the third factor was that in that year some foreigner studios entered the Czech market and established a brand. That's not that common, but in that year it really happened. There was Wargaming, the very successful international company, opened a branch in Prague. They actually opened it in 2017, but in 2018 was the year when they grew the company in size. And also company like Giants. Giants is the creator of the farming simulator games. It's a company from Switzerland. They also opened a branch in Czech Republic. So that was the reason why the industry jump spike. And in 2019 we expected that there will be decline, but to our surprise it was not true. The industry was growing still pretty significantly. I think that globally there is growth of like 9 to 10%, the games industry globally. So you can see that in Czech Republic the growth of 25% on average is more than double the worldwide average. The expectations of 2020 was, and I really have to say was, because we predicted this at the start of this year. We expected the growth of 10%, but that was in February. That was before this whole situation, this coronavirus pandemic. And that time when we were asking the companies and gathering the data, we expect that 2020 will be like this steady growth of 10%. But we already see, and that's what the companies are reporting us, that the growth will be probably even higher. Because game industry actually is not that damaged, even though we heard and many developers reported to us that they struggle because of the pandemic, but quite a lot of other studios actually sort of benefit because they are selling more of their games because of the various quarantines in the world and so on. So overall we expect even higher growth than 10% for 2020. Let's move on. If you look at the size of the Czech market in terms of employees, people working in the industry, we see growth as well. Last year it was 1,750 people working in the games industry in the Czech companies. That's quite fine. It could be better, but we are still pretty happy about it. Also, compared to the year before, it's more than 200 more people that's been actually employed by the companies. You can see on the graph down here that actually there is new job positions that's even higher. There is like nearly 300 new positions that were opened in 2019, and it's expected that companies will open 300 new positions in 2020 this year. That's a super great. It's going with the financial growth, that the companies are earning more money, they are growing and they need more people to work for them. But the problem is that we are actually lacking the people. There is like lack of talent and overall lack of people. This got several reasons. One of the reasons in Czech Republic is very low unemployment rate. It's actually the lowest in whole European Union. At least it was at the beginning of the year before this whole pandemic situation. So obviously right now the unemployment numbers are rising, but at the beginning of the year Czech Republic had below 3% unemployment rate. That's amazing, it's very low, it's great, but also for the companies it's a problem because there is not available people on the market. That's one thing. Another thing is the educational system that we got here, and that's not enough specific courses, university programs to actually provide that many graduates for the companies that the companies would like to. So on the another graph you see that companies are able to employ, and this is not that they would be more interested in the people that are already on the market so coming from another companies. This is the reason because there is not enough people coming out of the universities or even high schools. So for example, you see like companies expect to open 300 new jobs in game development this year, but the universities will only produce like couple dozens, 50, 60 graduates. So it's a big disproportion, and we as an association are obviously trying to improve that. We're working with the universities, but this is a slow process. So only 20% of the graduates, or 20% of the people that are employed by the companies are graduates from universities or even high schools. And 80% of the new employed people by the companies are coming from the job market. So from other industries, or maybe even like from company to company, game company, and so on. So to fix this, obviously the companies are looking abroad. They are hiring foreigners. That's understandable. Majority of Czech companies, the primary language in the companies are obviously English. And right now, roughly around 30% of the people working in Czech companies are foreigners. The rest, 70%, are Czechs. If we stay with this and look at another slide, you see that where are the foreigners coming from? And probably not that big of a surprise. Mostly it's our neighbors like Slovakia, like Poland, or close countries like Ukraine. Also, the thing is, like, majority of the foreigners working in Czech companies are Slovaks. That's very understandable. We are nearly like the same country, Czech and Slovaks. We got very similar language, many similar things other than that. So quite a lot of Slovaks find no problem to relocate to Czech Republic and start working in Czech gaming company. But not only that, also Polish people are coming here, quite a few Russians, Ukraine, and maybe surprisingly even US. But I think it's not that surprising because there is quite a lot of US developers. It's a huge country, a lot of developers, and quite a lot of them are actually working for Czech companies. I don't have here like what is the most common foreigner, but it would be probably Slovaks, then US, Poland, something like that. But these are like the top 5 countries where the foreigners are coming from. Maybe quite surprisingly, there is the salary distribution. This is very not precise graph. I'm aware of it. This is because we gathered the data, but we were unsure if we really want to release it very specifically. So the numbers down here are actually thousands of Czech crowns. So it's going from something like 26,000, which is roughly like 1,000 euros. So if you are like a starting position quality assurance that you've been just hired, it will start around this 1,000 euros per month, and it can go to this 160,000 or like 150,000 Czech crowns per month, and 150,000 it's like 7,000 euros, something like that. So it's a huge range. Obviously, the reason why I put here the graph, the average salary in Czech Republic is probably a little bit below average of like European Union. The reason is like the economic strength. If you look at the data, the Czech economy is like less than double, maybe like 3 times less than German economy. So obviously the average salary is significantly lower as well. But in the game development, it's getting much closer. And very important fact is that in Czech Republic, the cost of living is also like double or 3 times less than in Germany. So if you compare Prague to Berlin or Brno to Munich, you will see pretty significant difference in cost of living. So therefore, it's not that big problem if the salary is a little bit lower. But it's definitely, there is a reason to say it, that it is a little bit lower. So if you look at another slide, there are some other data. This is about the location of the studio, the size and the age, how old the studios are. Here is a little map of Czech Republic. As you can see, the 2 main centers, let's say like hubs of game development, are obviously the capital city of Prague and then the Brno, the second biggest city. 53% of all the studios are located in Prague, and like a quarter of the studios is in Brno. So if you would be thinking about starting a job or starting working games industry in Czech Republic or relocating to Czech Republic, most likely you will end up in one of these 2 main cities, because that's where the game development is. The rest of it is usually like individual studios that are for some reason located somewhere else. In terms of size of the studios, we see that nearly 3/4 are, let's say, indies, independent small studios, indie studios with less than 10 employees. So there is many smaller studios and only a handful, only a few bigger ones. We have only one company that's actually considered a big one. It's more than 250 employees, and that's Bohemia Interactive. They got like around 400 employees, and it's the only really big studio in Czech Republic. But then we got like around 10 or like 10 studios that are somewhere between 50 to 250 employees. So that's pretty nice. And then we got a bunch of studios that are somewhere around these like 40, 50 employees. Let's say like mid-sized studios. That's another like 20 something studios. So overall it's like 70, 75 really small studios and then like 30 to 40 bigger ones. I will name later the main one. And in terms of age, that's the last graph. You can see the game development in Czech Republic actually started forming or shaping up in the late 90s. So there is only a few studios that are still existing from that era, and they are these 20 plus years old. So that's like 5 to 10 studios. And then the rest is younger, usually less than 10 years. That's majority. The biggest group is these companies that are old 5 to 10 years. But we also have many startups, companies younger than 3 years. That's pretty common here. So that's that. On the next slide, obviously the games industry is pretty heavily export oriented. This is true for Czech Republic. I think this is true for many other countries. On the graph you see 95% of the product is exported. Obviously games industry is a global market, global industry. So the companies that are selling their games, the Czech companies, they are telling us it's probably more than 99%. Then we've got a few companies that actually focused on the local market for various reasons. For example, they are making like location-based VR experience, so it's not exported product. But other than that, it's heavily export-oriented. In terms of what the studio is focusing on, the Czech market is really focused on PC and console. We got few mobile studios. We got studios that are developing a mix of everything, mobile, PC, VR. But if we look at like the divided groups, the significant majority is PC and console. That's typical for the Czech market. And then smaller group is mobile. The studios that are doing mobile games or free-to-play mobile games are Madfinger Games or Jiva, for example. These studios doing mobile, but majority is PC and console. Only a small fraction studios doing VR, and the web development is usually connected with something else. It's not usually we are making web games, but we are making web games and something else. So this is the distribution and what the companies are focusing on. So I said that I will tell you what are the main companies. You've probably seen that throughout my whole presentations there's been screenshots from Czech games or from some games, and all of them were Czech. And now you see the main leaders in Czech Republic. Obviously I already mentioned Bohemia Interactive, the biggest studio. They are authors of the Arma series, Daisy, and also the game you can see on the slide. That's Vigor. It's been recently this year, like a few weeks back, released on Switch. Before that it was Xbox exclusive. It's a free-to-play looter-shooter game, so you can check it out. That's the Bohemia Interactive Studio. Then Warhorse. On the first slide you could see Kingdom Come Deliverance. That's a Czech game as well, released in 2018. The studio is roughly around 180 employees, so one of the bigger ones. Then SCS Software, I will be talking more about that. So just to tell you, Bohemia Interactive and SCS Software are part of our virtual expo booth, so you can check them and talk to the people from the studios. So SCS Software are the creators of Euro Truck and American Truck Simulator games, and many DLCs for this whole family of games. Beat Games, that's a super young studio established just 2 years ago. but they created this smashing VR hit Beat Saber, and last year, at the end of the 2019, they've been acquired by Facebook. So they are the studio that's actually under right now like big international company ownership. But they are still Czech. They are still here. They are a smaller studio. There are roughly around 15 people working there and doing this VR game. I already mentioned Mad Finger Games. It's a studio based in Brno. Also one of the bigger ones, around 100 people. They are doing games for mobiles, free-to-play games like Death Trigger, Shadowgun Legends, and many others. Amanita Design is a studio based here in Prague. We are super proud of them. It's a really indie studio to the core. They are creators of these amazing animated or heavy on animation games like Machinarium, Botanicula, Samorost, and they received so many international awards and very successful. And I got here also Kin Software House. That's another bigger studio, creators of the Space Engineers game, and right now they're even doing some AR research, so pretty successful in the field of AR as well. Other studios, there are many more. Factorio is a Czech game and some others. If we are talking about the games, I already mentioned a few. Here you can see the best top-selling Czech games. So surprisingly, the best-selling Czech game is actually Euro Truck Simulator 2 with more than 7 million copies sold. And then you see that Daisy, Arma, I already mentioned it. I did not mention Mafia. So the whole Mafia series is actually a Czech game as well. So it's a little bit complicated with that one because it started as a Czech studio, Illusion Softworks. It used to be one of the biggest Czech studios. They later on been acquired by 2K and become 2K Czech. So the Mafia 2 was released already as a 2K Czech game, and later on they transformed, or they like sort of canceled the 2K Czech and started a new studio which is US based called Hangar 13. So the headquarters of the studio is in US, and it's no longer really a Czech company, but the game the Mafia 3 was still developed by majority of Czech developers, and we still consider the game as some Czech heritage because it was developed here. So even the Mafia remake that was released recently, the first Mafia, and its remake, it's been done by Hangar 13, but majority of the developers is Czech. The Hangar 13 branch is located in Brno, and it's one of the bigger studios. There is again around 200 people working in a Brno branch of Hangar 13. So you see, these are the Czech titles. And that's all about the data and the introduction. And now we look at the companies itself. But we will look only at the companies that are part of our virtual booth, or virtual Expo Czech national booth. So you can check them. You can maybe even schedule a meeting with some of them, and just maybe look at their presentations. So first is Bohemia Interactive. I already mentioned them a couple of times. So let's look at their presentation.
"20 years ago, in 1999, when we were just a handful of passionate garage devs from the Czech Republic, we banded together and founded a small independent studio. This venture, which we called Bohemia Interactive Studio, would transcend our wildest ambitions and go on to become a unique entity within the industry, bringing an original approach to making and developing games. Just 2 years after forming, we released our debut game, Operation Flashpoint: Cold War Crisis, which was praised by critics and players alike. The game was a defining moment for us and became the first rung in a series that would go on to help define a genre. With a massive sandbox terrain, combined arms warfare, and authentic gameplay, Operation Flashpoint, later to be renamed Arma: Cold War Assault, brought a new and unmatched experience to the military gaming scene and set the bar for all following Bohemia games. From there, we continued to experiment and iterate on our success, formed the shape of the company Bohemia Interactive would eventually become, and started work on creating a new brand, born from our past endeavors, Arma. As our studio grew, we started to focus on highlighting a core part of our company ethos, community. Wanting to further develop the close relationship we had with our growing player base, we didn't want to create just games, but open platforms where people could create, enjoy, and share their own experiences with others. This vibrant modding scene, to our joy, far exceeded our expectations, gave birth to multiple phenomena that would go on to take the video game world by storm and forever alter the future for both Bohemia Interactive and the industry as a whole. Most importantly, our acquisition of the immensely popular DayZ mode would see us go on to officially develop the first open-world survival game of its kind, offering an unmatched experience for hardcore players, even to this day. DayZ, an unforgiving simulation of a collapsed society amid a post-apocalyptic world, recently became our first truly multi-platform game, releasing on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, and selling over 5 million copies. Continuing our active support for innovation, we went on to collaborate with Valve to spearhead a whole new form of game development. Our next installment, Arma 3, would not only be one of the first games to enter Steam's early access program, but became the very first to successfully graduate from it. A method we would go on to adopt for many of our other titles, and one which emphasized the importance of our close relationship with our community. With over 6 years of post-release support, 5 million plus copies sold, and a multitude of additional DLCs installed by our users, Arma 3 was, and continues to be, a massive success for Bohemia Interactive. Today, our once small studio has grown into the largest video game developer in the Czech Republic. Our diverse portfolio of genre-defining games have sold more than 30 million copies, are played by dozens of millions of players around the world, and are developed by over 400 people in 7 studios spread across 4 countries.
Contact! Spec up!
Despite this growth, we are not in the business of pumping out as many products as possible. Our games are huge projects fueled by passion and the desire to create something long-lasting and unforgettable. And our titles receive dedicated, continued support long after they're released as full games. Most notably, this support takes the form of myriad free platform updates, which accompany a steady supply of DLCs and expansions. And as we don't like to segregate our community, outside of certain terrains, players who opt not to purchase any DLC are still able to play with those who do. Here at Bohemia Interactive, we don't shy away from exploring new territory. We love to experiment, take risks, and venture into the unknown. A journey that has even launched us far into space with Take on Mars. This desire to think outside the box has led us to tackling a number of unconventional subjects over the years in order to provide players with a variety of new and unique experiences. Our humanitarian-themed DLC, Laws of War, for example, shone a light on the lesser-explored ramifications of warfare. And working alongside the ICRC, we managed to help raise awareness of international humanitarian laws. Elsewhere, one of our more recent expansions, Arma 3 Contact, extended our military franchise out into the sci-fi scene and explored the ever-fascinating question of, what if humanity suddenly encounters extraterrestrial intelligence on Earth? We have now fully embraced the vast spectrum of our industry and branched out into both mobile and console gaming. Our recent console title saw us venture into the vast yet beautiful lands of a post-war Norway, adding the free-to-play loot and shooter Vigor to our repertoire. Bohemia Interactive's newest vibrant sandbox exploration game, Islands, is set to provide a platform for players to create their own experiences to enjoy and share with others, and for the first time in any of our titles, will be available as a free-to-play title on all major platforms, including mobile. So, what's next for Bohemia Interactive? We plan to continue the legacy we've built over the last 2 decades with our future endeavors. We will continue to push the aspects of simulation and freedom, support and work with our passionate community, and build games as platforms for people to explore, create, and connect with others. Armed with the knowledge, experience, and expertise 20 years of game development brings, and with a shift to our brand new Enfusion engine, our sights are firmly locked onto our next major project. It's safe to say we're all looking very forward to what the future has in store for Bohemia Interactive.
So, that was Bohemia Interactive and their presentation. Next up is Studio CBE Software. It's a small indie studio, founded as only 2-man studio, and for many years they've been just a 2-man studio. I think right now they are a little bit bigger in size, but still quite a small studio. They are based in Brno, and even though they are quite small, they already released a couple of titles. You can check them on Steam. Their latest title is called Someday You Return, and now we will check their trailers of their games. So here it is, CBE Software.
I never wanted you to come here. You make everything so hard. I wish you'd stayed away.
Why are you here?
I'm looking for my daughter. She got lost.
You seem lost. Maybe someone should be looking for you. You better hurry, Daniel. You know how fast it gets dark here.
Having a dad like you, why run away? Oh, Daniel, it's so nice you dropped in.
Check your cell phone, Daniel.
I need to help Stella get out of here. She doesn't deserve my kind of help.
Greetings, Rachel Manners. Please exit the cryo chamber and proceed immediately to the main deck. I'm activating Mobot's exploration mode.
Let's leave this place. We need to narrow down the possibilities with these wires. You're saying they fired on sight?
We need to stay focused, Rachel. You're the last surviving member of the expedition, and you need to finish what you've started.
That was CBE Software. Next up is a studio called Charles Games. This is again one of the smaller studios. It's based here in Prague. It was actually established this year, but it was founded by Charles University. So the studio is part of, or like, company that belongs to Charles University. Charles University is one of the oldest university in Europe, and this year they decided they start their own game development studio. They already got some titles released. That's Attentat 1942. We will see a trailer from that. But they are also helping small student teams, the students at Charles University, to develop their games or even establish their own studio. So let's check Charles Games, their videos.
To byla strašná doba tenkrát.
Co si dovolíte? Děkuju jsem neudělal. Dejte mě pokoj.
Odboj, to přece byla vlastenecká povinnost.
Když vám před očima zabijou kamaráda, tak na to nikdy nezapomenete. před očima zabijou kamaráda, tak na to nikdy nezapomenete.
Pamatuju si, že teta si směla zabalit jen to nejnutnější. Kufry nesměly vážit víc než 50 kg a balila je pod dohledem českých vojáků.
Zabili je, ale já vím dobře, kde jsou ty hroby a kde je zakopali.
Vykašlete se na ten průzkum, šetříte si práci. Ta škola dělá ve vesnici zlou krev. Lidi nezajímá to, co bylo před 50 rokama. Lidi zajímá to, co bude zítra.
So that was Charles Games and their games. At the beginning you could see the trailer for Attentat 1942. You can check the game on Steam. Later in the video you see gameplay of the game Svoboda 1945 Liberation. This game is under development right now and will be released soon. All these things, you can check that at the virtual expo. Next up studio is Perun Creative. This is again smaller independent studio. They are, if I'm correct, they are based partially in Olomouc, partially in Ostrava. They got one title. This game is in early access. You can again check it on Steam. It's called Hobot of Life and it's an open world simulator. So let's check their game. Okay, that was Perun Creative. And last but not least is company SCS Software. It's a Prague-based company. It's one of the bigger ones. Currently, they are employing around 200 people, and they are very well known for their truck simulator games. But I don't want to talk much because I would like to give a talk to Alex from the company who will tell you more. So Alex, the stage is yours.
Hi everyone, my name is Alexander Blackman and I'm a community manager for SES Software, the company best known for its popular truck simulation titles, Euro Truck Simulator 2 and American Truck Simulator. To this day, both titles continue to grow yearly with more than 13 million copies sold worldwide. And today, we're really excited to be with you here at the Megamix conference to show off to you our brand new Colorado map expansion for American Truck Simulator. Colorado releases for American Truck Simulator on November 12th, but you can try it out for free today via Parsec. Please let us know what you think about our games. We'd love for you to swing by the booth and chat with us and our developers. We'll see you there.
Drive highly detailed truck models, officially licensed from iconic truck manufacturers. Make it yours by changing cabins, chassis, paint jobs, adding tuning accessories, or more powerful engines. Feel like inside a real cabin. Adjust your seat, mirrors, and position your head to get the best view of the road. Use a route advisor as your personal assistant during the travel. Lots of different cargoes to choose, from food to machinery to hazard cargoes. Multiple type trailers from reefers to flatbeds, from dumpers to lowboys and goosenecks. The longest trailers, up to 53 feet, will challenge your skills and patience while hauling and during parking. Deliver your cargo to a rich variety of companies and locations, like refineries, oil storage, gas stations, car factories, or roadworks. Try the life of a truck driver for hire. By delivering the cargo safely and improving your skills, become the owner of your own successful company. Build your own fleet of trucks. Buy garages, hire drivers, manage your company for maximum profits. Capture your favorite moments with photo mode, offering a rich set of editing options.
Okay, that's all the companies that we will have at our booth, and that's also the end of our presentation. I would like to thank you. I hope that you learned something new, maybe, And once again, if you would like to check out our Czech Republic national booth and check all the studios, and if you have any questions, I think you can ask even us there in the chat. So even if you have a question about the Czech games market and other Czech companies, you can ask me there or somebody else from our association. So once again, thank you. That's all from me, and bye-bye.